Cummings. We will now move on to member reports and comments. As a reminder, this is a time for commission members to report anything they feel important for the public or commission to know, but it's not a time for a discussion. So I would go ahead and start off and lead this portion. I have extended my term as the chair and as a commissioner of this committee. I would like to thank everyone for participating. I would like to thank my commissioners, our parks director, our city administration. This has been an experience, a wild ride, but we did get a lot of things done. And you guys will have a new commissioner coming to you guys in a couple of weeks, hopefully. So thank you for allowing me to serve my city, my community, and most importantly, try to bring funding to parks for my son who's sitting in the audience tonight. Thank you. And then I will go down to Commissioner Steen. Do you have any reports or comments?
No reports or comments to make, but thank you so much for serving us so well, Chair McCoy.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks?
Thank you, Chair McCoy. I, too, received notice today that my term is ending on the commission and my replacement has been selected. And I echo everything that you said, Chair McCoy. It's definitely been a wild ride. And one of the biggest takeaways for me is every meeting, I feel like I learned about a new program or a new organization or an incredible person serving in the city of Fresno to make sure that children growing up in our community have access to sports and arts programs and opportunities to really grow within the city, and programs that are advocating for parks and trails and arts. And I just feel really good about everybody that is doing work in the city. And please believe I will stay as an advocate for Measure P, and I will stay involved. And it's really been an honor to serve the city of Fresno, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I wish my fellow commissioners the best as you continue this difficult and important work. I also had a comment regarding the Eaton Trail. I just wanted to shout out, I think the Public Works Department, I noticed that some improvements have been made to the trail with regards to graffiti and some erosion and whatnot while I was on a bike ride yesterday. So thank you for taking care of that.
Commissioner Barraza?
Madam Chair, I just want to thank you, ladies, for a wonderful job. And I think we all learn along the way. And I was very impressed with the commitment that all of you have about improving conditions in our communities, the quality of life. And there's a lot good to come. And the wonderful thing that there are different ways, different roles that we can continue to be engaged. And I hope to continue to see you around because you're wonderful ladies. Thank you.
Vice Chair Dolan?
No comments other than to say it's been great, obviously, serving together, and I look together now getting together when we don't have to conform to the Brown Act.
Exactly. Commissioner Cummings?
I also want to thank you, thank everyone for their service, and I'm sorry to see you go, actually, Sarah. But I very much appreciate your expertise that you've brought to the commission and that you continue to bring to the community. And I look forward to also spending more time with you on the trail. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller?
I would just echo Commissioner Cummings. Thank you both for your service, and look forward to seeing you in some parks.
Thank you. We will now move on to City Administration and Park Staff reports and comments. Does anyone from the administration have any reports or comments for this commission?
Yes, good evening, Chair McCoy and Commissioners. I'm Jennifer Reese, Deputy City Manager representing the administration. I have one update to provide before handing it off to Director Aguirre. That is that this Thursday, May 18th at 10 o'clock a.m., there's a special City Council meeting and will be the presentation for the Mayor's FY24 budget. Of course, there will be hearings following that, but this is the first presentation of the budget. Wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Chair McCoy. Thank you, Commissioner Parks, for your dedication and leadership. Thank you for the tough questions in the department. I believe those questions have made us a better department moving forward, so thank you both for that. In addition to that, I do want to update some announcements. Our aquatic season, as we're getting into the summer months, registration begins this Friday, May 19th. Ages 3 and up for swim lessons, and then recreation swim at all of our city parks will begin June 12th. And then look for more information on our social media sites on registration and how to sign up. And then do want to note that the May 30th meeting, which is coming up, will present to the commission the mayor's proposed FY24 budget. That'll be a hearing that will allow you all to make your second and final recommendations for the FY24 budget. And then in addition to that, we will also have a hearing on that date for the input for the draft cultural arts plan. Today's item is a workshop, but on the 30th, we will also have a hearing to make sure we are getting any and all input for that plan. So thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to unscheduled communication. Would any member of the public like to speak on any issue within the jurisdiction of this commission? You will have up to 3 minutes. As a reminder, if you would like to comment on the scheduled workshops regarding the Cultural Arts Plan public review, now is the time to make a comment. If you would like to make a comment regarding any of the scheduled hearings, comments will be taken when each item is called. And my first card I have will be Lilia Gonzalez Chavez. Would you please come up?
Chairman McCoy and members of the commission, I'd first just like to thank Chairman McCoy and Sarah Parks for your outstanding work on behalf of we, the citizens of the city of Fresno. You made me feel like we had a voice, and I appreciate that, so thank you. I'm, as was stated, Lilia Gonzalez Chavez, Executive Director of the Fresno Arts Council and a member of the Cultural Arts Subcommittee of the Commission. I've carefully reviewed the draft cultural plan, and while it demonstrates a good effort to collect community input, it falls short in interpreting that input in the development of some of the goals and strategies presented. I would encourage the Commission to also carefully review the entire document and pull out those goals and strategies that do not support arts organizations and artists to create and present art of all disciplines or strengthen our arts ecosystem. While it's true that a plan like this in its findings can draw out implications for the city to enhance internal policies and infrastructure, that information should be called out as implications for the city and not a part of future investment of Measure P funds. Some of the recommendations included are ripe for the newly allocated $250 million being awarded to the city for downtown improvements. The goal and strategy set forth should focus on development of the arts. It is also of concern that some of the strategies demonstrate a lack of knowledge or investigation of what art resources currently exist. So that we're not duplicating efforts, we want to make sure that those things are pulled out as well. I would also like to offer you an opportunity to give me a call at the Fresno Arts Council, 237-9734. And that's not a Brown Act conversation. So you can call me, we can discuss the plan. I would really like to share with you more information about our arts community that is not included in the plan. Thank you.
Yes, we have Lisa Flores.
Thank you, Lisa. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. First off, I just want to say I do not know how anybody expects really good, vibrant comment tonight on the draft cultural arts plan when literally I just got it at 4:33 this afternoon while I was already on a business call, and I just got off a business call, so I rapidly just went over it really quickly, and I have a lot of concerns. I have a lot of concerns when I see the nonprofits that were asked for input, and I see Fresno Zoo. We don't have a Fresno Zoo. We have a Fresno Chaffee Zoo, and they're attempting to find money from whatever resources they can to continue to build out parking structures onto the historic property and the historic land that I know as Roding Park. So, you know, I think I'm going to have a problem with this if Measure P money is somehow given to Chaffee to build those structures through the cultural arts as far as funding one thing so they can move money around. You know, I really don't want to see a shell game. And also, I have to concur with the previous speaker. You know, if you don't talk to the community, how can it really represent the community? If it doesn't have the input of the artist, if it doesn't have the input of the shakers and movers in the art community, then it's not a really good report or a plan, and it really needs to be revamped. And once again, I don't want to see shady money being moving around in a shell game to take more of Roding out of existence. Also to Lisa Flores, Roding Park Small Dog Play Group, and the Central Valley Chihuahua Club, two dog groups that have been in that park for over 10 years and represents approximately 200 dog owners. And with that, I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Lisa. Do we have any other members of the public on Zoom?
No.
Before I close unscheduled communication, do we have any other members of the public in person who would like to make a comment?
Hi, may I approach, or do I pass this?
Thank you, Ariana Chavez. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, members of the commission. It's nice to meet you or see you again. My name is Ariana Chavez, and I am the brand new executive director of Arte Americas. At a previous hearing, my board chair addressed you on behalf of our organization and commented specifically on some of the struggles that Arte Americas has faced over the past 36 years in our effort to serve the community. And she mentioned our dilapidated buildings and the struggles that we have gone through to find resources and to find responsive partners and advocates over the years. Unfortunately, the city of Fresno does not have a very strong record in supporting all of our local arts organizations. And so I'm here this evening really to stand with the Fresno Arts Council and to ask that decisions made on behalf of the arts community are made with direct input by the arts community. We are a group of people who have dedicated our lives and, at least in my case, been truly raised to listen and to act based on our understanding and the needs within our own community. I felt that in order to establish any form of arts expertise for myself personally, I needed to move away and begin my career elsewhere. So I am a boomerang, proud to be home in Fresno after 10 years in San Francisco and in New York and in Italy as well, where I have learned from top organizations based on deep research and intense study how to implement effective community arts programming and how to best serve my community. I do not believe that the wheels that have been constructed here within Fresno, primarily by the Arts Council and other organizations, can be reinvented in any short amount of time. And so I'm asking that this commission does not endeavor to do that. Please don't reinvent the wheel. You don't need to. You have a fantastic organization led by someone who has served this community for generations and mentored a majority of us over the years. So there are a lot of us. We're not just expecting one person to do this, and we want the original plan to be followed and for the Fresno Arts Council to establish a process that will truly include us. We trust the Arts Council and we want our voices to be heard. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public would like to make a comment? Thank you. We will now move on to workshops. ID number 23-601, workshop, review of the Cultural Arts Plan, public review draft, comment period, process, and schedule. Would someone from the Parks Department please begin the presentation?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Chair. Can we get the presentation ready to go, please? While we're doing that, thank you, Chair McCoy and Commissioner Parks, for your, as Aaron mentioned, great questions and challenging questions. They've been, truly have made us a lot better. So thank you for your time. All right, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Jennifer Solis, Senior Management Analyst in the Parks Department. Happy to be here tonight. This is the fourth presentation to the Commission on the Cultural Arts Plan development. Tonight's presentation is a workshop to present the draft to the Commissioners, and at the May 30th PRAC meeting, there will be a scheduled hearing for the community where public comments will be accepted on the draft Cultural Arts Plan. Are we going? It's not working for me. Can we go to the next slide, please? The clicker's not working. Okay, so tonight we'll provide a quick refresher and recap on the progress of the plan to date. We'll provide an overview of the draft plan and then go over the timeline and next steps. Next slide, and one more. Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to take you all the way back to the beginning of the process. Per the Measure P ordinance, the Commission shall work in partnership with the Fresno Arts Council and local arts and cultural stakeholders to develop a cultural arts plan for the city of Fresno that identifies needs in the arts and cultural community, prioritize outcomes and investments, develop a vision and goals for the future of Fresno arts and cultural programs that are reflective of the cultural, demographic, and geographic diversity of Fresno. So the Cultural Arts Plan is just the first step towards being able to implement a grant program for the Measure P expanded access to arts and culture funding. The grant program will be informed by the Cultural Arts Plan. However, the grant program will have separate grant guidelines that will follow ordinance requirements. Next slide, please. This slide was presented to the Commission back in August, and the development of the Cultural Arts Plan has engaged with key partners. The community is inclusive of cultural arts stakeholders, cultural practitioners, community-based organizations, and the community residents. The community played a vital role in providing input during our outreach process and will continue to do so throughout the public comment period. Commissioners have provided input throughout the development of the plan, helped promote the Cultural Arts Plan during phase 1 of our outreach, and have been the most involved with the plan by way of the Cultural Arts Plan Subcommittee. The Cultural Arts Plan Subcommittee includes 3 commissioners, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Parks, and Commissioner Vang, as well as Lilia Chavez-Gonzalez, the Executive Director of the Fresno Arts Council. The Cultural Arts Plan Subcommittee reviewed all of the key deliverables of the plan to get the plan to this point. The subcommittee also served as the selection committee for selecting the consulting firm, Network for Culture and Arts Policy, or referred to as NCAP, who is contracted by the city to develop the Cultural Arts Plan. Parks Department staff has facilitated the process and has ensured all key participants remain engaged throughout the plan. Next slide, please. The plan's outreach and communication strategies have been presented several times, so this slide may look familiar. NCAP provided a mixed methods approach to allow for different ways to collect input and feedback during the development of the draft cultural arts plan. And that started with foundational research that included reviewing over 100 sources, all of which are referenced in an appendix in the draft plan. The cultural arts plan collected over 4,000 responses. In-depth interviews were conducted with the extension of local artists and cultural practitioner connections. Each council district provided input, and last but not least, 8 community meetings were conducted using contracted facilitators and drew 2,800 total responses. NCAP collected and analyzed this data, which informed the draft that is in front of you today. Next slide, please. Oh, next one more too. There we go. So this slide is essentially the table of contents for the public review draft of the cultural arts plan. And as I mentioned earlier, the subcommittee has been involved in all of the deliverables of the plan thus far. The subcommittee did also review the draft plan prior to today's launch and met twice with NCAP. The public review draft does include an appendix with the cultural arts plan subcommittee comments and will be taken into consideration during public comment with the rest of the comments received. Next slide, please. The draft plan does include a vision and 5 goals as required by the Measure P ordinance. The vision is arts and culture in Fresno will be recognized, prioritized, inclusive, accessible, and continue to reflect, celebrate, and connect the community. Goal 1 is stabilize, restore, and activate. Goal 2, policy planning and municipal investment. Goal 3 is education and development. Goal 4, celebrate and enhance. And goal 5 is address barriers, innovate, and expand. Next slide, please. So the plan does outline 5 goals, 32 recommendations, and 116 strategies. Some of the recommendations, just to give you an example, include leverage and multiply expanded access to arts and culture funding by seeking additional funding sources of revenue, establish plans and policies to install art in public places, offer capacity building opportunities for existing and emerging organizations and artists, and incorporate arts, culture, and creativity into the transportation system. The plan with these findings and recommendations shall inform the expanded access to arts and culture grant programs. Although Measure P is a step in expanding access to arts and culture, additional funding will be needed to implement all of the strategies outlined in the plan. Next slide, please. This timeline should look familiar to you. However, more details have been added for the next steps of the plan. Today, we released the 20-day public comment period for the draft of the cultural arts plan. The next PRAC meeting on May 30th will include a public hearing to receive comments on the draft cultural arts plan, and the public comment period closes on June 5th. All public comments will be reviewed and the cultural arts plan will be updated, which will then be released in full design in July. And the updated plan will be presented to PRAC on July 17th for recommendation to council for action on the final cultural arts plan, on the final cultural arts plan in August, excuse me. Next slide, please. So I want to go over ways on how to comment on the draft cultural arts plan. You can review the draft plan and provide comments online. You can submit hard copies of the comment cards by way of email, or you can drop them off at Dickey Youth Center at 1515 East of Isidro Street. And there will be a hearing to comment in person at the next PRAC meeting, as I've mentioned. Next slide, please. So as far as getting the word out and letting the public know that the draft plan is available and out for public comment, it is available online at the City of Fresno's Cultural Arts Plan webpage. It's in 4 languages, along with the comment card electronically. Hard copies of the comment cards and the draft plan can also be made available very easily. Online, there is a QR code to scan that will automatically populate an email requesting a copy of either the plan or the comment card. This is phase 2 of the outreach for the final opportunity to provide input on the draft cultural arts plan. Outreach strategies include emails. One was sent out today. Social media posts also posted today and then will be continued to be posted throughout the public comment period. Hard copies of the plan will also be available at all of the city's community centers, and our door-to-door outreach through Reading and Beyond and Southeast Fresno Community Economic Development Association, who were contracted to solicit input door-to-door for all of the outreach phases throughout the plan. And again, public comment period does close on June 5th. And this concludes my presentation, but I would be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you. As a reminder, this is a workshop, so there will be no public comment taken at this time, but I would like to go to the commission. Does any member of the commission have any questions or comments regarding this item? Commissioner Miller?
None at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cummings?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Dolan?
No comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Singh?
None at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Parks?
I would like to just, since this is probably my last meeting, and having served on the Cultural Arts Plan Subcommittee, I'm trying to think of what are the best comments I can make at this time. I just want my fellow commissioners who were not part of the committee to understand kind of how I felt about the process, particularly over the last couple of months. I feel like our committee was very engaged in the development and providing input in survey design and outreach strategies and those sorts of things. And then we had a really interesting presentation from NCAP about some of the results of that research. And then it felt like, boom, suddenly there was a draft plan, and the subcommittee really didn't, particularly the Fresno Arts Council, really didn't have the level of engagement that I expected. Once we were able to review the plan, we were able to make comments on it, and I thought at that time that there would be some kind of revision. You know, it's a draft plan, it's a first step. I expected our comments to be incorporated at that time, and the city decided to include them as an appendix. So for the public, they are going to be out there that you can see what the subcommittee members had to say. I definitely have concerns about what I perceive as some of the leaps between what I saw from the data that was collected to what the actual recommendations are, and I'm certain members of the arts community feel the same way. So I just wanted you all to understand that I don't think the plan in its current draft form is really ready for public review, and I was hoping that we would see revisions happen to get it in a bit of a better state before it went out to the community. And my comments about that are now available to the public, and I really do encourage you to read them and to also thoroughly read Lilia's comments. The Arts Council is the expert at this, and so we really should be relying on them so that the city ends up with a plan that's meaningful and really follows what the measure was intended to do. So those are my comments at this time, and I will definitely be staying engaged in the process as we continue.
Thank you, Commissioner Parks. Commissioner Barraza?
Madam Chair, I wish I would have had a chance to look at a draft before this workshop, but I didn't. I just saw that at around 1:30 they were saying that it was going to be released, and that would have been nice. I have a concern that in the implementation of arts or cultural projects, that there is a relationship to the parks projects, the regular capital projects. And I think that to have economies of scale and to maximize the savings in the implementation of projects, it would be nice to combine projects. So just because we have an arts allocation doesn't mean that we set aside everything else. In fact, someone pointed out to me that the word art appears throughout the document, the measure itself. So the challenge is not just what is related to the arts and culture, but how does that relate to the rest of the parks? And then the other thing that I like to see a lot of is active participation of the public in arts projects in the community, in the parks. So I'm really not, maybe you're already addressing those points, but I didn't have a chance to read a draft. So I will look at it very carefully, and I have obviously a lot of ideas on how to maximize the benefits of this allocation. And so my comments are limited at this point because I don't really know a lot about the draft. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel the same way. I haven't been able to review it yet. So to be able to provide comment right now would be unrealistic for me. But I do agree with Commissioner Parks that Fresno Arts Council is the expert. So they should be included in every step of the way. It's unfortunate that we have this going on right now. When Measure P was written and it was particularly very straightforward about the role that the Fresno Arts Council played and what arts meant to the community when this measure was being written. And that's what we talked about to our public when we went door to door and phone banking and talking about Measure P. So hopefully that this is something that can be worked out and that we can all be on the winning team and see a really good cultural arts plan for our community, for our kids. I have an 11-year-old who's in the audience tonight who's a very talented artist. So this would benefit him very much. So just hope and pray that we can get this relationship together and that we can have a cultural art plan that benefits the entire city as well as our youth and seniors. So those are my comments.
Thank you.
And we will now move on to hearings. ID number 23-600, hearing to receive public input on allocations related to Measure P, updates to the Parks Master Plan and Cultural Arts Plan, and annual Parks Department budget and capital improvement plans. Would any member of the public like to provide a comment regarding this item? You will have up to 3 minutes. Seeing none inside the chambers, do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, we have Lisa Flores.
Thank you. Lisa, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
First off, Kimberly, I'm going to miss you as chair. It's been wonderful and lovely. I would love to comment, but I couldn't find the documents to review. The links, I hit all the links, couldn't find a thing, so I really can't comment. And that's kind of, I'm figuring out tonight, a systematic problem with the city of Fresno. You know, they're dropping the documents within an hour of the meeting and expect the public to somehow show up en masse. Tonight, right now, there's a city council meeting in District 1, you know, which is the tower, which is the artist district in Fresno. And I wonder why no other artists have shown up. And I really want to know what are the allocations for the movement of the dog park in Roding, because I've been getting lots of questions from other dog groups that are using Roding when we're going to move, and I would really appreciate and like to give them an updated timeline, if not only when we're going to move, but also the financial aspect of it. And I would also like to see how much money, or if the city's putting or squirreling away any money for those parking structures that they're planning to build just for the 14 days out of the year that they'll really be used with saturated parking from the zoo. So, yeah. So I don't know what you guys expect me to comment if I can't find the documents. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else on Zoom?
No, there's no more.
Thank you. I will now close public comment. Does any member of the commission have questions or comments regarding this item? No? Before I adjourn the meeting, just would like to say again, it's been a pleasure serving my community, being part of the Measure P campaign, and watching this commission do the work of implementing the Measure P funds. I promise to stay engaged and still be participating in the meetings. This is my baby, so it's hard to let it go, but you will still be seeing me, and Commissioner Parks as well. So I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:12 p.m. Thank you, and you guys have a blessed evening.